to the bank that it was a circumstance, but for the most part, you cannot have any background. Versus to commercial loan, they don't care if you have a background. You can have any kind of background as long as you have the money and the down payment. They're okay with that. So keep that in mind, that those are very important things. Versus in commercial, in SBA, you have to be a resident. If you're not a citizen, it's okay, but you need to be a resident. But in commercial, you don't have to be a citizen nor a resident. You can get a loan even if you're a foreign national. You open just a corporation, buy the property under your corporation or LLC, and that's about it. I've done many foreign national loans. Of course, the down payment is going to be a little higher. They won't accept like the same. Now, if you want to talk about down payments for businesses are a little different than with the properties. Now, if you're buying a business with the property, you can go as low as 10% down. Let's say you're buying something for $3 million, property and a business together. If you're going to be owner-occupied, if you're going to run the business, you can't be absentee owner. You have to be owner-occupied running the business, which means you have to occupy the business and the property has to be occupied by you, 51% minimum. If you have extra room, if you're buying an office building, if you're a doctor, and you want to rent 49% of it, you could do that. As a matter of fact, that would be very good because we can add that to the cash flow, and that will be your cash flow. So if you're buying a business with the property, you can go as low as 10% down with additional collateral. What is additional collateral? Your home. If you have an apartment, if you have a house, even if you have a loan on that, first or second, it doesn't matter. Bank wants additional collateral to feel secure. Why? Because if your house is in jeopardy, if your business is in jeopardy, you're going to do everything to keep that loan, to make that loan payment. But if it's not, you'll say, I'll put 10% down, I'll let it go. It's okay, I'll lose 10%. So they want to make sure you're doing that. However, if you want to avoid that additional collateral, you can put 15% down, 1.5, and then you can skip that additional collateral and you'll be safe. 15%, just the subject property that you're buying. Now, let's say you're buying something without the property. Then you definitely, as I said at the beginning, you need anywhere from 25 to 45%, and sometimes more. It depends on the cash flow. If it's not cash flowing, so you'll need more. So that's why we run some numbers, we do the calculation, and we'll tell you with the business that's showing income, you need to have this much down payment. Now, if you have the experience in the same field and you're very expert in the same line, what you can do, we can do with the projection. A projection base means, we'll say, the other guy didn't know what he was doing. Sorry, Mike. No, we said the other guy didn't know what he was doing. And this guy is an expert. He's going to come in, he's going to turn around the business, and we're expecting, or we're projecting, that this business is going to make a lot more money. And that is that many times we can, if a business is not cash flowing, we can do projection based. However, is it easy to do? No. It's very challenging. They're going to ask a lot of questions. They're going to ask for a lot of documents. But is it doable? Yes, we can do that. So it's not that bad. So we talked about the qualifications, the cash flow, the background, the experience, and the down payment. Where is your down payment coming from? Bank wants to know. Is it coming from the neighbors, from friends? You're borrowing? You can't do that. You're borrowing money. Your down payment is supposed to be a non-borrowed money. You cannot borrow from anybody. They want to see a trace, sometimes 3 months, and if they get suspicious, they'll see for 6 months. If you are a bank manager making $100,000 a year, all of a sudden you're putting $2 million down or $1 million down, banks wants to know where is the money coming from. Then they're going to ask for 1 year of bank statement, unless you show them you sold the property or you have a closing statement from somewhere else. Because they're going to assume that somebody with $100,000, it's going to take 10 years to save up $1 million to put a down payment. So what can we do about that? Yes, there's a way to do that. In these cases, we can get a gift from first-degree family members. Father, mother, father-in-law, mother-in-law, brother, sister. As long as they give you a gift letter, this is not something that the bank will report to IRS or anywhere. No, this is just for the bank's purpose. As long as somebody gives you a letter and the money, and they say, I'll give him this money, and I will never take it back. This is his money. I'm giving him as a gift. 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. Of course, if it's out of whack, they're going to say, why is father-in-law giving you $1 million? Or they're going to question that. Unless the father-in-law proves that he has a lot of money, he just want to throw $1 million in there for the purpose of helping the kids. So that covers the down payment that you have to know that you cannot borrow the money. It has to come from your saving with the bank statement to prove that. And as far as startup, can you do a startup? Yes, you can, but it's very challenging, very difficult. Because if a business is up on the air, you're going to start something. I get a lot of calls. Hey, I want to open so-and-so center. Can I borrow money? Yeah, you can borrow money, but what can you do? How can you prove to the bank that you have the ability to pay? You can't pay back because the bank doesn't know that your loan is going to be guaranteed that you're going to pay back. Startup. What if it doesn't make it? What if you go bankrupt in less than a year? So bank is going to take that very seriously. They're going to ask for collateral, additional, guarantor, everything. So startup is, if you're thinking about getting your startup money, yes, you could do that, but it's very, very difficult. It's not that easy. And most startup loans are, they face very challenges, unless it's like about $50,000 that some banks, they do very lightly, and they ask for a small little guarantor to have it. So we talked about the business. Let me talk about a little bit for the remaining of the time about the properties. Commercial properties, they are considered like multifamily, apartment building. 5 units and up. 1 to 4 units is residential. And 5 units and up, it's considered commercial if you're buying a multifamily. If you're buying a retail, industrial, any of those, you can get a commercial loan. Those commercial loans, if you are occupying, if you're buying an office condo as a dentist, as a lawyer, as a CPA, as long as you occupy 51%, you could get an SBA loan. If you're not, which means you can do 10% or 15% down. And if you're not, if you're buying a shopping center with 5 stores, and it's going to be a retail center, then you have to get a commercial loan. What is the down payment for commercial loans? It used to be 25% up to 2008. We would do 25% all day long. But after that, they changed it to 35% down. They raised the ratio of debt to income, and they made it very difficult to do it with 25 or 30% down. So they're going to ask for 35% down in order to do a commercial loan. And commercial loan for anything, even for storage, even for storage facility, multifamily, retail, industrial, whatever you want to buy as an investment. And if you're buying 1 to 4 units, you can go to your residential guy and they'll do it for you. So basically, this is the entire thing for commercial and SBA. If anybody has questions, if not, I guess I'm done.
You said it's 35% down payment, right? Is it with collateral or without collateral?
No, you don't need a collateral. Collateral will be the subject property. The property that you're buying, your 35% will cover that. In commercial, they hardly ever ask for extra collateral. They don't need that because the property you're buying, they already have a good equity for, you're putting a good equity, good down payment. So that only is for SBA because when they feel very unsafe, the 10% is very little. Yeah. So for 35%, no, you don't need to have a collateral. Commercial doesn't need collateral.
Okay. So when you say collateral, do they look at the fair market value or how they determine that?
Let's say you're buying a apartment building, 10 units. I'm sorry, you're buying a liquor store and they're asking you for a collateral. In order to do that, you say, I'll put up my house.
Yeah.
Okay, they'll look at your house. What is the equity in the house? If your equity in the house, let's say is 2%, and you're maxed it out and you got 98%, bank probably is gonna say, no, it's just trouble, I don't want it. But if you have a good equity on that, 20% at least or more, bank will say, oh, okay, yeah. Even if you have even if you have a home equity line of credit, bank will say, okay, I'll sit third, it's okay, no problem. But you need to have some equity for that. But the only thing is, my recommendation is always put extra 5%, and that 5% will, at least will keep you away from the extra collateral, not to mess with the house.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hoss, you said about when selling the business, the tax returns and financials for seller is as much as important for the buyer.
Mike, very good question, but seller is more important than the buyer. Because buyer, we can always say, buyer is looking to grow. Buyer wants to do something else. So far, buyer was not very serious about making money. Buyer was just an employee of a company and he was making a certain amount of money. So, but once you are putting it into perspective, they want the seller. That is, the cash flow is always based on the seller thing. Now, if you're buying a commercial property, like a multifamily or retail, then they want your financial, besides what the money is, what the apartment building is making, but they want your financial too. If you are somebody like me, who is living month to month, they're gonna say, oh, this guy, if something goes wrong, he's not gonna be able to make it. But if you have multiple properties, 5 million, 6 million, right now I'm doing a loan for a doctor. His loan is, he has 13 properties, many, many loans. But bank still is willing to give him because 13 properties is worth about good $60 million. So they look at him as somebody is with high net worth and very good asset, even though his property is not cash flowing, the tenant is not paying enough, but he's a doctor.
Yeah.
With his salary that he's making, $500,000-600,000 showing on the tax return, we can prove, hey, even the building is not making it, he has the money to pay. So there are different ways to approach the issue.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course. If anybody has questions, I'll be here. If not,